Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 25th edition of Things I've Learned. I'm your host, Lorenzo Melcher, coming to you from our in-house studio, not my parents' basement. So it's been a long time since I've done one of these, maybe even like a month. But I'm here, I'm doing it, I'm back with 5 things I learned. I would like to thank all of you for sticking with me as I do this podcast. And sometimes I miss days, and sometimes I'm ready to go. I've been like really excited, invigorated for whatever reason. I think it's because I have, for the big show on Thursdays, I have podcast like ready to go. So I think that's part of it too. Like I'm not waiting the last minute to edit these things. I have some ready to go for the next few weeks. So it gets me excited because that's the hard part. The hard part is doing the editing. And I have some extras recorded. So I have some in the bank ready to go for when I miss days. So I am reinvigorated, and hopefully I can continue this feeling on the podcast. So let's get started for this week of Things I Learned, 25th edition. Number 1, red delicious apples. I listened to this podcast called Hyperfixed. If you haven't listened to it, Hyperfixed is a podcast where some people write in, email, whatever, with a problem that they have, and the hosts and podcasts try to solve the problem, or if it's a question about a certain thing, try to answer why it is the way it is. So this week was about red delicious apples and why there are so many all the time. And it was very interesting. So red delicious apples didn't start out so gross and mealy and like nobody wants to look at them. They started out as like a green, like mixed green apple. And it was really cool. The podcast was talking about how, when people first started coming out with these apples, they're like, oh man, these are great. But then farmers noticed that people would constantly pick the more red ones. So year after year after year, they kept producing really red apples. And what they were doing was, by producing the really red apples, they were taking out the taste and the crunch and all of that. All they were going for is the red part of the red delicious apple. And after a while, it just turned into this gross apple that nobody eats. And in fact, I think the question was, it's always at hotels. Why is it at hotels? So they basically talked about the reason they're at these places like hotels is just for looks. It's just like, you're not technically supposed to eat them, I guess, and they're garbage apples, but they're just for looks, and that's why they're all over hotels and in motels, and because of how they look. It is like a quintessential fruit, especially for apples, is this red delicious apple, but it basically just got genetically modified to no longer be good. It's just a gross apple that started really good, but then ended terribly. And now it's just for looking at. Apparently, you don't ever eat red delicious apples. I don't know anybody who's ever had a red delicious apple and said, you know what, that's my apple. I love that apple. They give that to me all the time. But this is a great podcast. And besides I think better than my 3 minutes that I went now on the red delicious apple was this Hyperfixed episode. So search, wherever you listen to podcasts, wherever you listen to this, search Hyperfixed. And it's a great podcast about the red delicious apple. So look for that. Number 2 on Things I Learned, division. So my daughter is like, Dad, can you help me with my math homework? And I'm terrible at math, but she's in 5th grade. So I'm like, let's give it a try. And it is one of those things where, in my job and in jobs past, I haven't really used math at all. And so she's going through the PEMDAS, right? She's going through that right now. And today she was doing fractions and division. And fractions, I was terrible at math my entire life. And so she had improper fractions, and I was trying to figure out how do I turn this fraction with a whole number into an improper fraction. And I had to search it on YouTube, and she goes, Dad, are you looking it up right now? I'm like, look, I don't remember this stuff, and I want you to get a good grade on it. Now, lucky for me, she did it correctly. I basically said, yep, good job. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. Congratulations. So I don't know if she's going to continue to ask me for math help, but maybe. I don't know. Maybe she will. Maybe she won't. But if I'm struggling right now at fifth grade math, I am in for a rude awakening. I don't know if she is. Eventually, she's not going to ask me anymore. She needs to ask my wife. My wife is the math person. But I helped her. I figured it out. And when she submits math, she submits it in her computer. And if it comes back and says, "Oh, nope, it's wrong," then she gets to do it again. So that's good. But yeah, it was went for a tough next 7 years of school if I got to help her with her math homework. So that was number 2, division. Number 3, late. A few weeks ago, maybe even last week, I think my wife was out of town, and she coordinated pickups and drop offs with myself and my in-laws. And one of those in an email, and one of those was a pickup on a particular day where she called me and she asked, "Oh, what are you doing?" I said, "I am just editing the podcast." She goes, "Oh, so my mom or dad is picking up Lillian?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then I went back to the email, and the email said I was to pick up my daughter. So I had to immediately, she's like, "All right, well, I'll let you go." So she let me go, and I immediately rushed over to pick her up. I was late, but they were late getting out of practice, so nobody knew until now. So if my wife is listening to this, now she knows that her phone call triggered me to go pick up our daughter. Otherwise, she may have been late, or I may have been late picking her up. But I just thought it was funny because she had this email all written out, ready to go. And I just thought, you know what, someone else is going to pick her up, when in fact that someone else was supposed to be me. So I did not. Again, I was late, but lucky for me, class always runs a little bit late. So nobody was the wiser until somebody listens to this and goes, "Oh, good, you idiot. You remembered to pick her up, kind of." So number 3, late. Number 4, Guardians. We're huge Guardians fans over here at the Melcher house, and we've been excited since their big run these past 5-6 weeks, and now they're in the postseason. And as you're listening to this, it is the first day of the playoffs, so who knows what's going to happen. But they're there, they're ready to go, and we'll see what happens. But the cool thing about this is we watched the clinching game we were at a wedding reception, which was at a bar. And we were watching the game on the TV, as you do. Where else would you watch it? And it was me and my 2 sisters were inside the bar, and my parents were out at the band, watching the band play. And they clinched it. It was a hit. The bases were loaded, tie game. The Rangers hit our batter, and that's how we scored the winning run to clinch going to the playoffs. And I jumped up out of my seat, yelled, "They hit him, they hit him." And me and my sisters ran out to my dad and my mom, and we were all like jumping and cheering, like, "They're going to the playoffs. They're going to the playoffs." So the cool thing, like, if they continue to win games, great, obviously. But I learned that maybe I've always known this, but it always gets reiterated at the points like this, where it's like the best thing to do with sports is to watch it with people you love, who also love the team you're cheering for. And it's a great feeling to be able to share all that. And I have that with, my son now too, where we share those times where it sucks and the times where it's good. And I get to, be able to share that with my sisters, and my mom and dad on that particular night was pretty cool. And it just reiterates the fact that, yeah, this is fun. This is why sports are cool, is to share all these feelings, good or bad, with people who you love and who you can, you can feel the same feelings. And I don't get it very often when I'm around that many people for that. So that was a cool experience. And then also strangers or friends I haven't seen in a long time that were at this wedding were also cheering and stuff too. So it was just a cool experience. And again, reiterated, I relearned, if you will, the feeling that what that feels like. And it's good. So number 4, Guardians. And last one is Go For It. So like I said at the top of this podcast, a mere 9 minutes and 40 seconds ago, that I feel invigorated with this podcast and wanting to do it and be on top of it and do the social media and all that stuff. And maybe it's because a TikTok of mine got 17,000 views, And so that it was cool. It's cool to see that. And it's like, oh, this TikTok is, I don't know if that's considered viral or not. I don't know. But it was cool that 17,000 people looked at this or looked at part of it. 500 people liked it. So it was cool to see all that and to it kind of pushed you like, okay, maybe there is something here. So I'm going to make a promise to myself to do the best I can with this podcast. Not only things I learned, but also the big show, the Nerdball podcast that comes out every Thursday morning. I continue to put these episodes out, continue to do the social media to try as hard as I can to gain followers. I'm almost at 200 on TikTok, 199. So if you're listening to this and don't follow the Nerdball podcast on TikTok, go there and be my 200th. Same thing on Instagram. I got about 500 Instagram, and then my personal page, Coach Melcher, is almost at 1,000. And I like to be 1,000 there so I can go live again because they changed the rules. But again, it's exciting. It feel good, and I want to work really hard and continue to put these episodes out, continue to do social media as much as I can, and to see, I owe it to myself and my family who supports me doing this to really go for it and to try hard and to want to do the best I can for this podcast. So hopefully we can do that. Hopefully you're listening to this. If you're listening to this, like wherever the Nerdball podcast is. Subscribe to it on YouTube. Again, follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over every social media. So search there. We're almost at 200 subscribers on YouTube. We're at 189, I believe. So it'd be great to hit 200 there. So we're, again, slowly growing, and I think I'm doing better. Got a new logo for the Parents Basements Studios, PB Studios. So that's appearing on the YouTube pages or YouTube videos. So check that out. But, yeah, little by little, getting new things. I'm hoping to get like some backgrounds and stuff for the podcast video, so it's not just my parents' couch and a small fridge. I remember mini fridge. There we go. Not a small fridge, mini fridge in the background. So trying to change some stuff, trying to add some stuff, and we'll continue to push along on this podcast. So again, I appreciate all of you, and we will continue to put these out. If you want to be on Things I Learned or The Big Show, just reach out to us at thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com or any of the social medias that I talked about. We'd love to have you on. I have, in recent weeks, have had people come on that asked me to come on. So don't be afraid to ask to come on the podcast. I love talking to people, and it will help our reach. The more people that come on, the better, obviously. The more well-rounded people. More people outside of my circle. Like all these things will help the podcast grow. So I'm willing and open to all of these things. So again, thank you all. It's enough rambling. And I'll try to remember what I say, which is I love you and always keep learning.
Dear Jane, chances are you won't find the time